It beats inside you. It's that thing urging you outside when the forecast calls for snow. Some were born with it. For others, it was carved with care. But for all who take winter to heart, it's time. Feel the rhythm of the season and pursue your Pure in Pure, Michigan.
Looking for...
Don't miss out! Download the My Michigan TV mobile app to stay up to date with all of our programming. It's the MegaCast, an hour-long TV and radio streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Live from West Bloomfield, we're bringing you the news, updates, and information impacting communities around Michigan. Join our host, Tyler Kieft, as he talks with community members, business leaders, and professional experts about the stories that impact you. You're watching the MegaCast on Civic Center TV.
Coming up on the MegaCast, Ian Grant from Mimosa Fine Arts. Plus, Molly Reeser from Camp Casey joins the show to talk about equine therapy. This Tuesday on the MegaCast, weekdays at 10 a.m. on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Let's savor these moments. Made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
I'm Steve Yzerman of the Detroit Red Wings, and I think every child in Michigan deserves a safe, healthy, and happy childhood. Can we build a state where Children Trust Michigan isn't just a name, but something our kids believe? Please support Children Trust Michigan as the voice for children and families by visiting the website to learn more.
When the temperatures are chilly, being together warms the soul. Keep the winter fun going. Help protect yourself and those around you by keeping your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
What's happening around you? Hear about state events, businesses, and from the people behind them on the MegaCast, an hour-long TV, radio, and streaming show keeping you informed on the day-to-day news. Listen in on talks with volunteer groups, documentarians, and financial advisors, Monday to Friday with your host, Tyler Kieft. Catch the MegaCast weekdays from 10 a.m. to 11 on Civic Center TV, 89.3 Lakes FM, and streaming on mymytv.com.
You're listening to your radio homes for the MegaCast, 89.3 WBLD Orchard Lake and 88.1 WBFH Bloomfield Hills. The MegaCast begins now. Welcome to the MegaCast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Today, we'll be talking to a number of people about topics of interest and importance to Michiganders just like you. Let's go straight into our headlines, seeing we're a little bit behind time here due to other extenuating circumstances. Part of Metro Detroit is now anticipating snowfall on Wednesday throughout the day, with forecasts from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and as much as 8 inches of snow in certain parts of the local area predicted to fall in various locations. When that snowfall will be most significant, however, is not clear just yet, nor is where that snowfall will be most significant in our local area. National Weather Service meteorologist Stephen Freitag says this is because the snow is mostly expected in the afternoon and after the morning commute, as was forecast earlier on in the week, and that because of the length of time that the snow may be affecting the area, it's unclear whether the storm will be at its peak at one point or another and when its peak severity will be in certain areas. Freitag called the situation for local schools, quote, tricky, and closed quote, saying calling a, yes, I'll say it, snow day a decision schools will need to make on their own anticipation and not necessarily based off of the weather reports. Kids, I'm rooting for you, and it's got nothing to do at all with the fact that our flagship station, Civic Center TV studio, is on an elementary school campus, but it is. Nobody double parking in our limited spaces then. So what? Also making headlines today from Aisha Johnson at the Detroit News. Gas prices are once again going up in Michigan. The average price of a gallon of gas rose just over 4 cents in Metro Detroit over the past week, now sitting at $3.39 per gallon. Compare that to last year at this time, and the price jump is about 17 cents per gallon in total over the last 365 or so days. Adrian Woodland from AAA says it's all because of more drivers on the road needing more gas. The demand has jumped, and as long as that continues, she expects that the price increases will continue as well. According to AAA, the most expensive gas prices in Michigan are in Lansing at $3.42 per gallon on average, Jackson at $3.40, and here in Metro Detroit, where we originate our program, $3.39 per gallon. Least expensive prices are in Ann Arbor, $3.34 per gallon, Benton Harbor at $3.37 per gallon, and Traverse City, where their average price is $3.38 per gallon. Finally, making headlines today on CivicCenterTV.com's local news page from Janelle James at Bridge, Michigan. Michigan parks are anticipating high traffic once again this summer and are estimating a greater need for seasonal summer employees to help with the additional visitation. Just prior to the pandemic in 2019, our state parks had about 28 million visitors, according to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, or DNR. The DNR says those numbers then jumped to 35 million in 2021 and was about even to that last year, according to initial reports. Said DNR Parks and Recreation Chief Ron Olson, quote, "We added almost 40 positions in the system, and over 30 of them were in the field operations that manage these parks," and closed quote. Not only have state parks seen increases in visitation, so was the case for regional parks as well, and they are having no shortage of trouble filling their staffing needs for anticipated busy seasons of this year. That, according to Danielle Motter, the chief of marketing and communications for Huron-Clinton Metro Parks, who said, quote, "It gets harder and harder to hire staff, it seems. A lot of our facilities do depend directly on us being able to fill and find those staff to fill those openings. This is not necessarily something that seems to be a cause for concern in executing most of their services across our park systems locally and statewide, as many highly trafficked parks, including Pictured Rocks, are already taking reservations for the upcoming warmer seasons." All these headlines today and throughout our week are posted on our website, CivicCenterTV.com, on our local news page. While you're there, we highly encourage you to click through these articles, read them in full and their supporting materials and more from each of these publications. And should you have the means to do so, we highly encourage you, even beyond that, to subscribe to these local publications and support journalism in your local area. We have a great show ahead on this Tuesday edition of the MegaCast. Coming up next, we will be talking about keeping your kids safe online with Callahan Walsh from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. That's coming up next. You're watching and listening to the MegaCast.
There are many different kinds of noses. Our noses can sniff out all kinds of things. Good things and bad things. Your nose knows if those sniffles are just a cold, allergies, or COVID-19. So swab it. Test it. It's good to know.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important.
And now the same is true in the face of flu.
Influenza has the power to infect millions.
But it's easy to protect yourself, your family, and your community.
The flu vaccine is safe and effective. And with COVID-19 still around,
it's essential. Together we can face flu season head on.
Visit michigan.gov/flu.
Hey Laker fans, do you know a friend or neighbor that volunteers in Greater West Bloomfield? We would love to help you recognize them at the 51st Annual Michigan Week Awards. Countless members of the communities of Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and West Bloomfield give their time and talent daily without regard for recognition. You can help recognize these individuals and organizations at our awards breakfast next year on May 12th, 2023. Nominate your neighbor or organization starting January 28th, 2023. Go to michiganweek.org for details.
chemicals. 1 in 4 Michigan homes has high levels of radon, a naturally occurring radioactive gas known to cause lung cancer. It doesn't matter where you live or what type of home you have. You won't even know it's there unless you test. So don't wait. Testing is cheap and easy. And if there's a problem, it's simple to fix. Visit michigan.gov/radon to learn more.
We took action. Will you?
Welcome back to the MegaCast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more on our program by visiting our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State, including our co-flagship My Michigan TV, and find all of our full shows and each individual segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast is the place to go for that. Well, we hear the stories all the time. A kid meets somebody online. They're chatting with them over the internet. They plan to meet up, and it turns out to not be who they're speaking to at all. It puts them in incredibly dangerous situations, and a lot of this can be preventable by some action being taken by you, the parents, and you, the kids themselves at home as they're browsing the internet. Joining us now to talk about this issue and more is Callahan Walsh from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Callahan, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate having you on. And this is an issue that it's not something that's new to our society. It's something that's been growing over time. And the new wrinkle in this has been the growth and the expansion of the use of the web in our daily lives. Just how much has that changed how child exploitation happens, but also how the pursuit of these various criminals that are taking on these heinous acts also is addressed.
Well, internet has created life for the better in so many ways, and it's ubiquitous in this day and age, right? I mean, it's creeping more and more into our daily lives. I mean, everything we do happens to be online now. Even children, their schoolwork is oftentimes submitted online. And so the internet's not going away, but it has created new ways to harm our children, and exploiters and child predators are using the internet, using the anonymity of the internet, and using that to prey on kids. They're using social media platforms as private hunting preserves. They're using gaming, all sorts of different ways where they know the children are. They're going to go there to try to exploit them. And we've seen that at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children really ramp up, especially over the past few years, and especially during the pandemic when we were all home, right? We were all home experiencing increased screen time, parents, children, and predators alike. And we even saw chatter on the dark web amongst these exploiters, sharing best practices, how to groom and lure children, how to exploit them, how to stay undetected by parents or law enforcement. And so it's important for parents to understand that these dangers exist and that they need to be able to talk to their children about making safe and smart decisions. We believe prevention is key at the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And so we use all the information that we gather through our cyber tip line. Cyber tip line is a reporting mechanism that we operate here at the National Center for the public to make reports of any suspected child sexual abuse they find online, or internet service providers like social media platforms. In fact, we received over 29 million reports in 2021 alone. And so what we do is we triage those reports. We have analysts that are analyzing those reports, finding as much information we can about the predator, about the child, and turning that back over to law enforcement. But we take all that information and we put it directly back into our prevention education programs to make sure that our education programs are informed with what we're seeing out there in the real world. And parents really need to take those resources and use them to help safeguard their children.
Other than just the depravity of it all, is there any really one or list of characteristics that are typical of these predators that are preying on kids using the internet in particular, or is it still something that's quite various as it's been in the decades and decades that this has been going on even before the internet in our society?
Mm-hmm. Well, exploitation looks very different in each case, right? And there are different types. We have grooming and luring. We have, the creation and dissemination of child sexual abuse material, formerly known as child pornography. We even have categories like sextortion, a word we didn't even have a few years ago, which is a category that we've seen increase over 150% in just the past couple of years. And what sextortion is when a predator will get a sexually explicit image of a child, either an image or a video, through various means of manipulation. They get that image, and then they'll blackmail that child for either more explicit, sexually explicit content or from monetary goods and services. And what we've seen is when the girls, young girls are targeted, it's typically for continued sexually explicit content. However, when we see boys being targeted, it's usually for monetary gains, and either by a criminal or even a criminal enterprise. And what's so unfortunate is and many times in these situations where boys are the victim, they feel that there's no recourse, that once this exploiter will expose them, show these pictures to their friends and family, they will be so beyond embarrassed that there's nothing they can do, and have resorted, unfortunately, to suicide. We've seen in over a dozen cases at the National Center of boys who were targeted, were being sextorted, and ultimately resorted to suicide. It's a horrible, horrible thing to think about, that these children are driven to such extremes by these predators who are preying on them simply behind a computer screen. But that's why it's important for parents to understand these things and talk to their kids, make sure they're having ongoing conversations with their kids about safety, because it's not the parent that's always going to be there to make that safe decision. The child needs to be empowered to make that decision themselves. They need to be able to identify risky situations and learn how to avoid them.
So for these kids on an individual basis, what are some of those overarching factors that are typical of children that may be more vulnerable in these cases to falling into some of these traps online, where they are talking to predators or they are being exploited in a variety of different ways, such as sextortion by predators on the web?
Well, parents really need to be making sure that, the online behavior that their child is exhibiting is positive, right? That they're being a good digital citizen. And we oftentimes see children who are targeted by these predators where maybe their parents weren't really monitoring it as closely as they could of what was going on. They weren't asking the questions, what apps you're using, who are you talking to? The parents shouldn't treat the internet as a wild, wild west. I talk to some parents all the time. They go, well, as long as my child isn't doing drugs and as long as they're home on time, I don't care what goes on online. Well, that tune changes very quickly once they find out that their child's being targeted by a predator, that predator is sending them, that child, sexually explicit images and requesting sexually explicit images back. And so parents really need to be aware. We unfortunately can't raise our children the same way our parents raised us. The internet is here to stay. Again, it is a great place, but there are inherent dangers. And so parents need to look for programs like the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We have a great online safety program called NetSmarts. It's free. It has great resources for very young children, because kids are getting on the internet younger and younger these days. I think the average age for a child to receive their first cell phone in the US is just 10 years old. But at 10, they already know how to use it. They're using mom and dad's cell phone, brother and sister's tablets. And so when children are given these devices, parents need to understand that they can then communicate with the world, right? We used to have the family computer out in the living room. Everybody could see what was going on. But now these computers are in our pockets, and they go with children into the bathroom, into the bedroom at night. And so parents, again, need to understand some of these dangers, need to be talking to their children about safe and smart decisions, and using programs like NetSmarts. Again, it's a free program from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Great resources for young children, age-appropriate resources for older children, but also resources for parents to make sure that the conversations they are having with their children are successful and ongoing.
And we also need to be more aware of, as a society, us adults, whether it be parents or neighbors or educators, wherever these kids may be, about recognizing some of the signs that a kid may be under duress, may be under stress from being targeted by a predator online. Certainly those cases, like you mentioned, Callahan, with sextortion, and recognizing those signs that a kid may have fallen victim to somebody online or may be about to fall victim to them online. In some cases, we know, and unfortunately we've seen in the past, those falling victim being put into severe situations that in many cases can be deadly. So what are some of those signs that we adults should be looking out for as we are looking out for and trying to defend the kids in our community and in various places?
Right. Well, especially for parents, if your child is exhibiting behavior where they are very reluctant to share with you their online behavior, to share with you their usernames on different social media platforms, that's a big red flag. Every parent should be using the same social media apps that their children are using. It's the best way to learn how they work. Just download them, get on them yourself, poke around, and friend your child. Make sure you have eyes on their accounts. Make sure their profiles are set to private as well. Another thing is finding a secondary phone, a device that maybe the parent didn't buy for the child. That's a huge red flag. We see that time and time again with exploiters who are trying to, try to groom or try to lure a child from the home. They'll send that child a cell phone, say, hey, communicate with me only on this device. This way your parents won't find out, won't know about it. So a second device is found. That's another big red flag as well. And just the general behavior of that child. We understand that children, as they're getting older, they want that, bond of trust. They want their parents to trust them. But that child is the parent's responsibility until the child turns 18. That cell phone was likely bought by the parent, that digital plan paid for by the parent. The parent has every right to go into that phone or device and see what's going on. But parents need to read between the lines. Think about the behavior that your child's exhibiting. Talk to them about things in the news, teachable moments, judge their reactions, and really try to understand if this is something you need to dive in deeper on.
We're joined on today's program by Callahan Walsh from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You can find more information and resources, including helpful tools to help you educate yourself and your kids on these issues and more about internet safety at their website, missingkids.org. Missingkids.org is the website for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And as we talk about resources and we talk about education, so much of that also goes back to developing that trust with your kids and maintaining that trust with your kids. So for parents, how do you suggest that they go about maintaining that supportive environment that fosters their kid being open to having these conversations about them? And then even on the other side, the kids, how do you suggest that maybe they go about speaking to their parents about some things that they may be seeing online or maybe encountering online if they're uncomfortable, and open up those lines of communication so these issues can be addressed?
Yeah, well, you said it best. It's all about communication. Parents need to be talking to their kids and starting at an early age, because the conversation you have with your youngest child about online safety when they're first starting getting online, when they get their first phone at maybe 10, 12 years old, is a vastly different conversation than you're having with your teen about online safety. So my recommendation, I always tell parents, like my top 3 is try to understand the technology the best you can. Again, that was downloading the apps your children are already using. Number 2, to set ground rules and stick to them, especially if there's been bad behavior in the past. And number 3 is to have those ongoing conversations about safety. And for children, they also need to know that they won't get in trouble if somebody sends them something that's not appropriate. If somebody is trying to groom or lure them, trying to harass them, or trying to coerce them into sending explicit images of themselves or video, they need to know that they can go to a parent and not get in trouble, that it's not their fault if they're being targeted. And so children, again, need to be open with communication with their parents to say, hey, if something's happening to me online, I need to be able to go to my parent. I should go to my parent to make sure that this stops and that we can mitigate any damage that's already been done.
More information again and resources from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children can be found on their website, missingkids.org. Missingkids.org is their website. Callahan Walsh joins us today from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And Callahan, just a few more minutes with you before we'll need to wrap things up today. Anything else at this time that we are seeing become a trend in how exploitation is facilitated online, or how we're seeing kids fall victim to exploitation from predators online that we haven't spoken about, but would be important for our audience to be considering as we continue to go on?
Well, I think it's just important for parents to understand what can happen online. And especially with the pandemic, we had so many kids at home, and it really gave a false sense of security to a lot of parents, saying, oh, well, my child's right there on the couch. They're safe. But if you don't know who your children are talking to online, if you don't know what kind of behavior they're getting up to, they really could find themselves in a lot of trouble. And whether it's them being targeted, or maybe they are sent a sexually explicit image as well, and then they go and send it on to another friend or a group of friends, there's a lot of repercussions that come with that. And so again, children really need to understand the dangers that lurk online. I know they see, adults sending, whether it's someone they look up to or even a parent or older sibling. Look, romance is found online more and more these days. Again, the internet's not going anywhere, but children need to know that there are some serious dangers when it comes to sending or self-creating self-explicit images and sending them off. This could affect their future, could affect their education in college, if they're planning on attending. There's just a lot that goes on. They're just so open to so many vulnerabilities once they start diving down, into that hole and are targeted by predators. And so parents, again, need to understand the dangers. They need to be talking to their children, but they need to be empowering their children to make those safe and smart decisions because it's about the child. They're the one that's going to be there. A parent could go blue in the face trying to track their children's digital breadcrumb trail day to day. Parents are busy enough, but they need to make sure that their children are empowered to identify these risky situations and they can avoid them.
It used to be that we would teach media proficiency, and then later on, maybe, excuse me, maybe later on, we would then delve into media literacy. Today, those need to be taught simultaneously, and especially that media literacy, so important in protecting our kids and protecting ourselves online today. Callahan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate the chat.
Appreciate having you on as well. Missingkids.org is their website, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Explore the issues, learn more with plenty of educational resources, as well as support their nonprofit on the website, missingkids.org. You can also watch both Callahan and John Walsh on In Pursuit with John Walsh on Investigation Discovery or ID, as well as on Discovery Plus. We'll take a break on the MegaCast. On the other side, we got a really interesting interview coming up. Joining us next, Ian Grant, the CEO and curator of Umoja Fine Arts, joins us on the MegaCast.
Many people are feeling overwhelmed and struggling with mental wellness these days. So be kind to your mind. Give yourself permission to breathe. Share your feelings. You are not alone. Have hope. Talk to a Stay Well counselor for free confidential help 24/7 through the COVID-19 hotline.
Watch Civic Center TV with our brand new live captions. To turn on live captions, go to civiccentertv.com and click Watch Live. In your web browser, click on the Options tab in the top right and find the Accessibilities tab. Then just switch on live captions to heighten your enjoyment of our local programming. Thank you so much for watching Civic Center TV.
Welcome back to the MegaCast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast. We will find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes State and around our local area, and find all of our programs and each individual interview segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go for all of that. Joining us now on the program is Ian Grant, the CEO and the curator with Umoja Fine Arts, with us on the MegaCast today. Ian, thanks for being with us.
Yes, thank you, Tyler. Thank you for having us from Umoja Fine Arts.
Yeah, glad to have you on. First of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself and the history of Umoja Fine Arts.
Okay, Umoja Fine Arts was founded to celebrate the greatest artistic achievement of local and internationally acclaimed artists. We were founded in 1996. I'm the CEO and curator of Umoja Fine Arts, and my wife is the vice president. It is a family business.
And so what sort of art are you then curating at Umoja? What sort of art are you collecting and providing to the public?
Yes, basically we're mostly curating and showing African-American art, which is very, very key across the spectrum, as this is the fastest growing segment of the entire art world of art from our community.
And who are some of the artists that you've been working with so far, have curated their art through your company?
Yes, we'll be showing at an event coming up this weekend. We'll be showing master artist Paul Goodnight. We'll also be showing Grammy Award winning artist Marcus Glenn, internationally acclaimed artist Larry Poncho Brown. We also have with us, unfortunately, I helped to manage her estate, but the great Annie Lee, we have an original there from her. She passed away in 2014. She was my mentor. And from a local, strong, premier artist standpoint, we'll have Marcel Stewart, and we'll have also the great Rosemary Summers.
We're joined on the program today by Ian Grant, the CEO and curator of Umoja Fine Arts. You can find them online, umojafinearts.com, UMOJA finearts.com for more information and to get in contact with them as well. You can also call them at 248-773-9008, 248-773-9008 for more information. And also you have an upcoming Umoja Art Basel event too. Can you tell us about that event and how people can participate?
Yes, our upcoming Umoja Art Basel event is basically to basically celebrate the contemporary art and to talk about the lost gems that we have in our community. The arts is a area that is really growing. What's key is that we have to continue to educate our community about the artists that we have, both locally and from around the country, and also educate them on collecting art and also building generational wealth. That's very key and important. So basically, we were at Art Basel, and then we reassembled the show here in the Detroit metro market because we wanted to give people here in this marketplace the opportunity to see artists that are being focused and featured on a worldwide scale.
And just how do you work with these artists and with people that may be want to be exploring a career in being an artist, or just selling their art in the future, to provide that education on how to turn that into a career and create generational wealth through their creativity and through creating this great art?
Well, we do that two ways. The first way is if we're bringing a new artist in, that we're bringing up an emerging artist pretty much. We kind of take a look at their work and we try to help them range their work. We try to let them understand how to go inside of themselves and pull the work out of them, what they're feeling, what their emotions are. And we call it pretty much going at Umoja Fine Arts, going into the belly, going deep into the belly, past the belly button, going down and pulling out of you the artwork and the concepts and the ideas and the colorization that comes from Africa out of you to put on canvas. And you're capturing a sign of the time right now. That's very key for you, and very key to show the public the artwork that we would like to be displayed. And then we teach the artists how to range their artwork across the spectrum. And then from there, we market them across the world and across the country. So we invest in them with their artwork. What makes the difference between a $10 artist and a $10,000 artist, whether they're singing or whether they're painting? The difference truly is marketing. So that's very key and important that, they're with a gallery and that they're being marketed in order to get to their maximum level of what their value and their worth will be.
And that's huge.
The second part of your question, just to answer the second part of your question, number two is, again, the public. And it's going to come down to three things, just like real estate, where you have location. In the art market, it's education.
And it's so huge to be able to provide that to these artists. And it can be a turning point for them in their career. It could be the difference between art being something that they're pursuing and something that they're actively doing as their career. And so if people would like to participate in the Umoja Basel and would like to have access to some of these educational resources and those conversations with you and others in your organization, how can they go about registering or getting involved with your Umoja Basel?
Yeah, for the Umoja Basel event that's coming up this weekend on Friday the 27th, it's going to be from 5 to 9. It's going to be also on Saturday from 1 to 6 p.m. They can register at umojafinearts.com. That's UMOJAFINEARTS.com. umojafinearts.com. And we take this so seriously in the history of each individual artistic piece that's created. that we're bringing in award-winning journalist Ed Gordon to interview the artists from 5:30 to 7:30 on Friday. Coming up here on the 27th, Ed Gordon will be there interviewing our different artists about their techniques, about their style, their history, what they were thinking about when they painted the art, and also how is this piece significantly a historical piece, or who are they trying to represent through the art.
You can find more information on Umoja Fine Arts on their website, umojafinearts.com. And as Ian said, their event coming up this weekend, Friday, January 27th, 5 p.m. until 9 p.m. Saturday, 1 o'clock until 6 o'clock on the 28th. Learn more and register on their website, umojafinearts.com, or call them 248-773-9008, 248-773-9008 for more information. And if those out in the community, maybe they can't attend the Basel this weekend, or just interested in exploring some of the art that you're curating at Umoja Fine Arts, where's your showcase located? Your showroom located?
Okay, we're located in the Crossroad building in Southfield, and that's pretty much in the Northland area where the Northland Mall is. It's right across from Universal Warehouse, right next to the Salvation Army on Northland Drive. Our address is 16250 Northland Drive. We're at Suite 102. That's in Southfield, Michigan. So again, 16250 Northland Drive, Suite 102, Southfield, Michigan.
So much more going on at Umoja Fine Arts, and keep up to date with them on everything that's going on, as well as shop with them online on their website, umojafinearts.com. We're joined by the CEO and the curator of Umoja Fine Arts, Ian Grant, on today's edition of the MegaCast. Ian, a couple more minutes with you before we'll need to move on today. Anything else that we haven't discussed yet about Umoja Fine Arts that we should know about, or would be interesting for our audience to be considering as they're maybe thinking about attending the Basel on this weekend?
Yeah, well, it's very key. We would like to, again, mention our sponsors. We have 3 sponsors, Fork Full of Love, GE Distribution, and Tangi Grant Real Estate Group. They're very, very important to the event and making sure the event happened. And as I indicated, come in, get a chance to meet the artists, get a chance to look around. These are some of the jewels and gems from our community. It's the fastest growing segment in the entire art world. And you want to start collecting now, because it's like anything else. We don't have a piece of the sports industry. We don't have a piece of the music industry and other industries that's been developed out there. And this is one of the last industries that we can have the opportunity to participate in and to be able to collect and to be able to meet the artists too, as they continue to develop and continue to put out great work.
Ian, thank you so much for joining us and telling us more. And we're looking forward to having a lot of people go out and join you for the Umoja Basel this weekend on Friday and on Saturday.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We really appreciate it. And thanks to all the listeners. And we hope to see you to come out. And again, if you can't make it, we do have an e-commerce website, so we have people that order on our e-commerce website from all over the world. Again, Umoja Fine Arts with the S.com.
As he said, umojafinearts.com, and you can call them too, 248-773-9008. We'll take a break now on the MegaCast. On the other side, when we come back, we'll talk to one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. That's up next. You're watching the MegaCast.
When you have a gambling problem, you have a money problem. Don't let your gambling cause you financial hardship. If you or someone you love is struggling with gambling, we can help. Get free confidential counseling and win your life back. Learn more at michigan.gov/problemgambling.
The heart of winter. It beats inside you. It's that thing urging you outside when the forecast calls for snow. Some were born with it. For others, it was carved with care. But for all who take winter to heart, it's time. Feel the rhythm of the season. and pursue your pure in Pure, Michigan.
Do you have a child going into kindergarten this fall? The West Bloomfield School District invites you to learn more about kindergarten at the Kindergarten Roundup. Principals and teachers are sharing their important information, including next steps for registration, kindergarten readiness, district-wide services, and more. Each family will also receive a free gift from the Team WB. We can't wait to meet you at the Kindergarten Roundup, Thursday, January 26th at the new West Bloomfield Middle School.
Wondering what to say to someone who's been sexually assaulted or abused?
I believe you. I'm so sorry this happened.
It's not your fault.
Confidential and anonymous help is available at the Michigan Sexual Assault Hotline. Connect with us 24/7. Call 855-VOICES-4 or text 1-866-238-1454 for help. Learn more at michigan.gov/voices4.
Ronnie started doing prescription pills at the age of 15, and by 19, he died. If your child is struggling with drug use, try not to be too proud to reach out for help. Don't be worried about what the neighbor will think or your family. Just get your child the help they need. Sometimes it's the hard road to take, but the hard road is nothing compared to living with the fact that your child is no longer with you.
There's hope and help at drugfree.org.
Welcome back to the MegaCast, our live daily TV, radio, and streaming show talking about all things Michigan. I'm Tyler Kieft. Learn more about our program on our website, civiccentertv.com/megacast, where you'll find more information on all of our partnering stations across the Great Lakes state and find all of our full shows and each individual interview segment on demand as well. civiccentertv.com/megacast, the place to go for all that and to keep up to date with us every day. Joining us now on the program is the executive director of Camp Casey, one of over 300 charities and nonprofits supported on the Share Detroit platform. Molly Reeser joins us now on the MegaCast. Molly, thanks for being with us today.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad to have you on. For those that may not be familiar with Camp Casey, tell us about your organization and the history of Camp Casey as well.
Sure. Camp Casey is a nonprofit organization. We are based here in Metro Detroit, but we spread the healing power of horses to children with cancer, sickle cell disease, and all life-threatening illnesses throughout Michigan.
So you mentioned, as you said there, the healing properties of horses. Tell us about that. Just how can horses be healing or provide a sense of healing in some cases to kids that are undergoing these awful diseases?
Sure. So horses are a very magical, powerful, wonderful animal. I'm a little biased because I grew up loving them myself, but horses have very healing powers to them. They're these large, sometimes frightening animals that really do have a gentle soul to them. So when we are connecting children who are going through some very difficult times with these gentle giants, it allows the kids to have a sense of control back in their lives and be able to really connect with that animal, helps them while they're going through the challenging times that they're facing.
And typically, how are kids then going into Camp Casey? Are they being referred to your organization, or are they being registered by parents or by doctors? How do they get involved?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because it surprises folks to learn what great lengths we go to promote our organization so that families can benefit from the services we provide. Camp Casey offers 3 completely free programs to children in Michigan, and it's a lot of fun to be a part of what we do. One of the programs that we operate is called the Horsey House Call program, and this is where we actually travel to the homes of children with a horse, and we surprise them for a day and bring a day of horse camp right to their front door. We have to respect the privacy laws, of course, that are in place through the hospital systems. So it sometimes it's difficult to reach the families that can benefit from Camp Casey's free programs. So we rely a lot on folks who are watching this segment and friends who tell another about Camp Casey through social media, through referrals. we work very closely with the social work teams at the local hospital systems for referrals, but we truly rely on those who learn about Camp Casey to spread awareness about our organization so that we can bring a Horsey House Call into the neighborhoods of the community.
You can find more information on Share Detroit's website at sharedetroit.org. Go to find a nonprofit section and search Camp Casey to learn more about the history of Camp Casey, their services, get in contact with them about a variety of different opportunities as well. And you can also learn more directly from their website, camp-casey.org. Camp-casey.org is their website for more direct information straight from them, as well as ways you can support them through your donations. We're joined on the program by Molly Reeser, the executive director from Camp Casey, on today's program. And there's plenty of other opportunities and programs that are also offered through your organization, including your Lone Star Getaways. You also are providing. Tell us about those and how people can get involved.
Sure. So as I said, Camp Casey offers 3 free programs to children with cancer, sickle cell disease, and all life-threatening illnesses. The first, of course, we talked about is the Horsey House Call program that surprises children at their door with a full-sized horse. And we stay for the afternoon to give children who are sometimes unable to go to horse camp the opportunity to enjoy camp right at the convenience of home. For those who can travel outside of their home, we offer the Lone Star Getaway program, which allows families to go on an all-expense-paid vacation in Michigan. It's pretty amazing to be able to provide a getaway to families who would typically not be in a position to plan or pay for a trip during the time that their child is undergoing treatment for a life-threatening illness.
And when these kids are having these interactions with the horses and they're building those connections through Camp Casey programs, just how much of an effect does that have on the kids as they're going through these various diseases? As you said, it gives them sort of that sense of independence and control that they may not be experiencing very often as they're fighting these different diseases and conditions. But what are some of the other ways that these horses have a positive effect on their lives?
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to imagine the children that we serve are many times elementary aged. So we have served children as young as 1, as old as 17, and also their friends, their parents, their siblings. So we are being invited into a very sacred part of these families' lives during a time that the children are experiencing a lot of fear and loss of control and going through just unimaginable challenges. And as you can imagine, the children we serve are not very trusting of grownups because the folks that they're encountering on a very regular basis are poking them and taking their temperature and hooking them up to machines. And it can be very confusing for these young children who are having to undergo treatment that is very difficult for most adults to understand. So while Camp Casey is not providing a cure, which is important and necessary, and the research to head in that direction is imperative, we are, however, providing a glimpse of sunshine and happiness and a celebration during a time where it's difficult to find something to celebrate. So we show up, we knock on the door. The children are oftentimes surprised because we ask the parents to keep it a secret if they can, so that we can give them a really wonderful afternoon that it comes as in an unexpected way. We knock on the door, the child opens the door and is surprised to see a full-sized horse on their doorstep, which is probably the best thing that a child could ever open their door and see. And many times the reaction can be a little bit fearful, definitely shy, unsure. Who are these grownups and what are they doing with a horse on my doorstep? But the horse really offers a beautiful vehicle to develop that trust with the children and to show them, look, we're bringing this gentle giant your way. You're going to be able to pet and ride and interact with this animal. And it truly gives that child the sense of control and power and confidence that they have many times lost during their treatment.
More information can be found on camp-casey.org, camp-casey.org, or go to sharedetroit.org To find more information on Camp Casey and over 300 other charities and nonprofits across our local area, sharedetroit.org, the place to go for that. And Molly, your organization was one of many that received a gift from Share Detroit for Giving Tuesday, receiving that award. How did that funding that you received from Share Detroit go to support some of these 3 free programs that you're providing to kids throughout our local area?
We are using the funds from Share Detroit, which we love Share Detroit so much. We leverage a lot of our volunteers through Share Detroit. A lot of our donors come from Share Detroit, and also folks who want to tell their friends and community about what Camp Casey offers. Learn about us from Share Detroit. So we're so grateful to that organization for collaborating with us. We're even further grateful that they were able to select Camp Casey as one of the charity recipients to receive funding. That funding is actually helping us replenish the supplies that we go through, like water. Our organization relies on folks to help us leverage arts and crafts supplies and paper plates for the pizza that we provide to the families that we serve, and the gas that goes in the truck that is driving to each child's home several times each week during our programming season. So the funding from Share Detroit will be used to put gas in our truck that is going to haul the horses places. It's going to help us replenish our arts and crafts supplies, and it's going to help us purchase the pizza that will feed all of the hungry campers.
More information can be found on the website, campcasey.org. Camp-casey.org is the website. Don't forget the dash in between, camp-casey.org for more information. You mentioned volunteers. What sort of volunteer opportunities are there if people want to get involved with Camp Casey and help your mission?
Volunteers are the backbone of our organization. We could not do anything without volunteer support. And so we rely on the community to step up and to join us on Horsey House Calls. You do not need to be horse savvy to volunteer with Camp Casey. You just have to be over the age of 15 and have a big heart and a clean criminal record. To volunteer with Camp Casey, simply go to our website, fill out a volunteer application, and we will alert you when there are Horsey House Calls in your neck of the woods, which happen quite frequently. We deploy 2 to 3 times a week from May all the way through October. So there's definitely a Horsey House Call that's convenient to where you live. And it really is only about a 2.5-hour commitment. You show up at the child's home. We will put you to work based on your comfort level around horses, or maybe you want to be the one to hand out pizza or to help facilitate the craft project that day. No matter what your skill set is around horses, as long as you have a big heart, you're over the age of 15, and you have a clean criminal record, we want to invite you to be a part of Camp Casey's volunteer team, because we rely so heavily on volunteers to make what we do possible.
More information can be found on volunteer opportunities with Camp Casey in a couple of places. Go to sharedetroit.org and find them under their Find a Nonprofit section, and they'll have a list that's updated quite regularly of all their volunteer opportunities and other opportunities with their organization, or go straight to their website, camp-casey.org, and click on their volunteer link, camp-casey.org/volunteer, another place to go for more information on how you can volunteer for their Horsey House Calls and other initiatives from Camp Casey. Molly Reeser joins us on today's edition of the MegaCast, the executive director of Camp Casey on today's program. There's a number of other ways, whether it be from volunteering or providing some other resources to your organization that people can help. Tell us more about ways that people can help your organization, either if they can't provide their time, but other ways that they can help your organization.
We are always looking for 3 things at Camp Casey: funding to keep our program going and growing, and to fill up that fuel tank that we all know the cost of gas these days is quite high, and we require fuel to get our truck to the homes of the children we're serving. So we're always looking for donations, big and small. $5 goes a long way. Being a part of our Golden Spurs Club, which are monthly recurring donors, we would invite everybody to consider being a part of the elite club that's keeping Camp Casey funded and growing. We also, of course, are looking for volunteer support. Whether you have 2 hours to spare or 20 hours to spare, we will put you to work in any capacity. Volunteering at the Horsey House Call, I always find to be just as fun for the volunteers as it is for the children we're serving. So please consider rallying up some friends, coworkers, family members, and join us on a Horsey House Call. It's an experience you will not regret being a part of. And then finally, we are always looking for camper referrals. If you should happen to know a family that is going through a childhood illness, we primarily serve the cancer population, but we also serve the sickle cell population and anybody who has a child who has been diagnosed or is being treated for a life-threatening illness. If you happen to know a family that's struggling through childhood disease, refer them to our organization because we will help. We have several programs that we can offer that could offer some sunshine during some very dark times.
More information can be found on their website, camp-casey.org. Molly, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
That will do it for today's edition of the MegaCast. You can find all of today's interviews and our full show on our website on demand, civiccentertv.com/MegaCast. Big thank you to Molly Reeser for joining us today from Camp Casey, Ian Grant for joining us from Emoji Fine Arts, as well as Callahan Walsh from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Again, all these interviews on our website, civiccentertv.com/MegaCast. Big thank you as well to our crew, Jared Clark and Calvin Brown at Master Control at My Michigan TV. That's it for today's show. We'll return soon with a new episode.
My Michigan TV is streaming everywhere on Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV, and more smart TV apps. My Michigan TV is on your phone too. Take us with you wherever you go. Just search for My Michigan TV on your favorite app